What is going on, guys, and welcome to this video. And so today we're going to be talking about a strategy that I call storing values into A. All right, and what exactly does this mean? All right, so we're going to go ahead and look at this equation just to give you a better perspective. And so when we look at this at first, we say, hey, sine squared x minus cosine squared x plus sine x plus 1 is equal to 0. Solve for sine x given sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals to 1. I don't know anything about trig, all right? And so, as you might say that, you actually don't need to know about trig. All you need to know is this little value right here, but they give you that in this equation. So we're all good. Alright, and so the key is to store values into A, alright, because we don't want to mess with sine squared x and do some, arc sine and square roots. We don't want to do that, alright? What we actually want to do is we want to say, hey, we're going to get rid of the sine, not by doing some fancy algebra. We're just going to say A is equal to sine x, alright? And that makes our equation so much easier. So we say sine squared x, well, that's just going to be A squared, right? Minus, we're not going to mess with cosine squared x yet. So cosine squared x plus sine x, well, we just said that was A plus 1 is equal to 0. And look, our equation is so much cleaner now, right? And so ideally, we want to isolate this A. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add cosine squared x on both sides. So A squared plus A plus 1 is equal to cosine squared x. And cosine squared x, well, we can just, we have this little thing right here. We just subtract sine squared x on both sides is equal to 1 minus sine squared x. Well, all sine squared x is just A squared. Remember that. So cosine squared x is equal to 1 minus A squared. And look at this, we have our own little value for what cosine squared x is. So we can go ahead and substitute that in right here. So 1 minus A squared is equal to A squared plus A plus 1. And we want to move our A squared over here and add it to both sides, right? Because we want to isolate the A's. 2A squared plus A, we have our two 1's right here. We can just cancel those two out, is equal to 0. And look at this. This is so much easier for us. We can factor out an A, and then we say 2A plus 1 is equal to 0. And then so we can just do our little basic algebra. So we can say A is equal to 0, or 2A plus 1 is equal to 0. 1 equals to 0. 2A is equal to negative 1. A is equal to negative 1 over 2. So it's either these two values right here, alright? And so now we can just substitute our sine x back into here, and we can say sine x is equal to either negative 1/2 or sine x is equal to 0. And they go, this equation asked us is solve for sine of x, and that's exactly what we did right here. And we didn't even need to use any complicated trig to solve this problem. We stored our values into A, and we neatly solved this problem. All right. So go ahead. This is probably one of the most powerful strategies you can use, especially when you get into trig, when the algebra or the geometry gets a little hard. All right, so I highly recommend this strategy. Go ahead and do some practice on Mathtivity, and I hope you guys found this interesting. I will see you guys in the next video.